Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So, with all this talk about Christmas and holidays and celebrating, there's absolutely no way for me to celebrate Christmas or the holidays without thinking about babies and children. My childhood memories, my children, and my grandchildren have always been a big part of the joy of the holiday season for me. So it is the same way in my doll houses. And I had a little bag of babies that needed to be dressed. So I thought it was high time to get them dressed and prepared to be a part of life in my doll houses. So this little doll, I gave him a little preview in one of my earlier videos, but he's a little Heidi Ott doll, and I actually got him from the Ann Arbor Miniature Show, and he needed to be diapered among other things. So I found a small piece of cloth and cut it into the shape of a diaper, and I don't have any pins dolls. I guess if I had some really small diaper pins, I do have some pins that are small, but they're way too big for him because he's teeny. But there's my little idea of a diaper. And now I'm putting on the little jacket that I actually purchased from the estate sale this summer. And he's the only doll that it fits perfectly. Now, in addition to me making him a nice little diaper and putting on his new jacket, he really needed on some type of shirt or some other type of garment to cover him. Winter is close, and the last thing you want is a cold baby. So I used a really small piece of baby washcloth in the color blue and pulled it over his head to make a small shirt. And after I shaped it in the shape of sort of like a poncho, I glued it on the sides, and I thought that worked out nice. And then I put his little jacket back on. I can hardly believe how fortunate I am to have found a teeny jacket that's the perfect size for this lovely little baby. Now, I don't know who you dolls think he might be, but he's a very special baby, and I'm going to get him all dressed and ready and put him away until it's time for him to arrive in the rooming house. Now, in addition to putting him on a nice little outfit, I thought that he needed a nice blanket as well. So I used another part of the baby washcloth, and I added some light blue trim around the edges. And I do have this little basket. I put a few washcloths in that, and so that'll be a part of his baby care supplies. Now I have another really nice baby. She's really cute. Her outfit is not bad, but I just feel like it's kind of plain. I just think little girl babies should look just really, really special and really, really dainty. Now, her little onesie type outfit, it really isn't bad, but again, it doesn't look girly enough for me. I'm really glad they didn't have a lot of glue stuck to her head, so she should be really, really easy to wig and redress. And I really like her facial features. They're very gentle, like a baby should look. Babies shouldn't have strong faces. She ended up being super easy to redress. I just added a piece of pink lace around her waist to make it look like she has a full skirt. And I made a little bonnet out of another piece of fabric, and now I'm making her a blanket. So I found a lovely piece of fabric with little rosebuds on it, and I decided to use that to make a blanket for her. Now I didn't use pink lace. I wanted it to look kind of antique, so I have this trim that kind of has a bisque color to it, and I thought that looked a little antique-y. So I put that around the edges of the blanket, and I think it tones down some of the brightness of the pink to make it look a little bit more vintage. And I did add a little bit of the pink trim to her dress to just try to make it look a little bit more interesting. Now, dolls, when you're dressing small dolls, especially babies, there are some things you just need to make an impression. You don't have to make it the actual article. I'm just trying to make it look like there's some type of closure in the front of her little top. So I cut two small pieces of the trim to make them look like this is how the little shirt opens. So I added a little tacky glue where I wanted the little trim to sit, and then I pressed it in place. And after adding several little pieces to the front of her little dress, I felt really good about the way it looked, and then I went on to work on her bonnet. Now, dolls, her bonnet was really simple. I just cut a little piece of fabric half round and then laid a strip around it and glued it, and that was about it. I am going to add a little string and some lace around the face, but just a very, very simple design. But I really wanted to focus my attention on wigging babies. Now, babies don't have a lot of thick hair. Even if they do have a lot of thick hair, it's really thick baby looking hair. Now this is some leftover mohair from when I was wigging the larger dolls. So I just laid a few pieces of the curled hair into her hair with a little glue on it. So I think those few little curls made her hair look nice. So now let me go ahead and finish up her little outfit. So I found another little piece of lace in the same color family as the skirt part, and I decided to gather it up with a piece of thread to make it look as though she has puff sleeves. Now I'm satisfied with her outfit. I'm really happy with the way it looks. It looks very girly. I love the full skirt. I love her little hair. So I had another little doll. He is definitely a boy. His face is pretty defined, but I just get tickled when I look at him because he actually reminds me of my youngest grandson. And so I used an old shirt that I had from a larger doll and cut the sleeves down. I loved that it was a plaid. I thought that that was really, really cute, and I have an idea to do some little coveralls for him. Now I found a small pair of jeans, and so I just thought this was going to be a fun opportunity to really create a really cute looking doll that looks sort of like a toddler. He's not a big boy, but he's not a baby. He's like a little old man. So I just love these little pants. I love the plaid shirt. And I just want to give him some really nice hair to really bring out his look. But he's a toddler. I would say maybe he's 2.5, maybe 3. I gave him some little suspenders, and I'm just gluing them directly to the little jeans and across the shoulder just to make sure they stay secure. Now, I really wasn't interested in sewing for any part of his outfit. The tacky glue worked absolutely perfect, but I think he looks so cute. He looks so, so cute to me, dolls. And I added the other tacky glue to the strap and the back. And I really like the idea of the suspenders as opposed to the actual bib for the coveralls. I think that would have made it look too rural. And I love how the little tan straps pick up the color in the shirt as well. So redressing little dolls just takes a little time and imagination. So now I'm going to go ahead and give this little guy some hair. So I've added my tacky glue to his head already, and I cut off some really small wispy pieces of black hair to just tap them into the tacky glue, and I just kind of shaped it around his head, around the part that should be where ears would go. And yeah, I think he looks great. I think the hair adds a lot to his look, and I think it came together really nicely. So we got 3 babies ready and a couple more to go. Now, this little baby is a really nice baby. He's pretty young just based on the shape of his body, but I felt like he just needed a little bunting because his arms and legs are not movable. I glued them together solid so the arms and legs don't move. So I just want him to be fully covered, and I didn't want to risk breaking him trying to put on a diaper. So I just put him into a little all-in-one outfit, and I think it's going to work really well. Now this is a little boy baby because I think he has a really boy-like face. So I decided to cut off the little loops from the trim just to enhance it with a little detail, but I didn't want it to look frilly. Now, although he's a nice baby, his head has kind of an odd shape. So I'm going to definitely put the little bonnet on him, but I wanted it to make it look like he had little buttons down the front of his shirt. So I used the little loops that I cut off of the edge of the trim and put them down the front of the little bunting to look as though he's got buttons. And then I added glue around the neck of the bonnet, pressed it around the edges of his face. Now he's all set and ready to live his new life as well. Now this next doll was a doll that I purchased at the Ann Arbor Miniature Show. And I saw a little lovely buggy or baby carriage, and I thought it was adorable. And then I purchased it and found out that the baby was included. I was blown away. And this is the little doll that was inside. It's a really nice doll, very well made, but it needed a little enhancement. And when enhancing a doll, a little hair always helps. So I added a little reddish brown hair to the little doll. Again, I didn't want to make it too thick. Now, these are some curly pieces of hair left over from when I dressed the little girls in an earlier video. I will leave a link in the description. And so I added some of the little reddish brown curls to the glue to give this doll kind of a curly hairstyle, but I didn't want it to be too thick. I wanted it to look like a young baby. So after gradually adding little curls of hair sparingly around the little doll's head, I allowed it to dry. I thought it was really, really cute. I really had a good time putting this doll together. It was really funny because this doll actually looks like somebody I knew as a child. So it was really amusing putting it together because I see somebody familiar. Now, after I thought I had added enough curls to the little baby's head, I started to think about what type of outfit would look nice. Now, since this is a girl doll, I definitely wanted a dress, so I know I wanted a really full skirt, but I wanted a different color. I didn't want to do pink and I didn't want to do blue, so I started thinking about what colors would look really nice with this color hair. After going through my fabric stash, I found this really, really nice polka dot color fabric. It's a nice lightweight cotton. I think it looks soft. It kind of has a nice, what I call a baby color. It's not too bright, not too dark. So I made a skirt, created it the same way I made the lace one, gathered it around the waist with a straight stitch and then closed it in the back for a seam. Now I did leave the gathers loose enough so that I could adjust it around her waist. Now before I officially put it on her, I went ahead to add some of that trim around the edge, again to make it look a little bit more fancy, a little bit more dainty. And after I completed the skirt and allowed the glue to dry, I went on to prepare her bodice or the top of her dress. Now I cut out a little scoop so I would have an area to put her neck in. And then I prepared the bodice so I could create an area for the sleeves and to add glue. Now I did split it down the middle to make it easier for me to put it on the doll and adjust it around her body. Now after I opened the piece of fabric up, I did seal the sides and leave the openings loose so that I could put it on her arms. I did allow that to dry so it wouldn't come apart while I was assembling it. And I went on to prepare the part that is going to make her sleeve. Now I did use my needle and thread to adjust the waist around her skirt, but when I got done adjusting the skirt, I added glue to her back to close up the bodice. Now after I closed up the back, I went ahead to adjust the part that was the sleeve to create a puff sleeve look on her arm. I added a little glue to the area near her elbow and then just pushed it up a little bit to give it the puff sleeve look. It's just something about a puff sleeve dolls that really, really gives a little girl's dress something special. Now after her little puff sleeves were in order on one side, I did the other. And honestly, I only worked on each of them a couple seconds just to make sure that they were even and they looked nice. Now, at any point in this process, you can add a little extra tacky glue if it's not going up high enough or if it's not sticking in the places that you need it to stick. Now, I had another lovely piece of vintage colored lace, and I thought it was really, really beautiful. And I actually used it to create a lace collar on her dress until I realized it wasn't going to lay the way I wanted it, so I added more of the trim that was on the hem of her dress. Now, dolls, I'm really satisfied with my decision. I did come back and add a couple brass studs to the little boy's suspenders just to make it like this is how they were attached to his pants. I think that really added a nice little detail. Now, dolls, if you've enjoyed this video today, definitely let me know in the comments. Also, like, share, and subscribe. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye bye now, dolls.